Alright, what's happening YouTube? Big Truth here with another video. I really want to know what you think of this, because it's been kind of driving me crazy recently. So much stuff in film and TV. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's hard to know what's on purpose, what is actually being directed at you, what effect it's having, and right? But on the other hand, there's been a ton of research and effort being put into, what effect are these images having on people, and right, that's been sort of science to an insane degree. What psychological effects certain images and patterns and colors will have on people? Right. So the color scheme. I mean, every sort of show or production has a different sort of vibe to it, different production techniques. This is definitely see a lot of blue here in Star Trek, which again, all the standard color symbolisms are valid here. Red meaning passion and blood and all those other things. Blue meaning Lucifer. Right. I'm not going to talk about color theory. You can go look that up, but I notice these all the time now in cinema where I'm going to try to scrub, but really don't want to get a copyright on this strike. Let's see if we can just scrub it and get by, right? So, can you see these sort of large splotches, right? Red splotches, which again, these sort of lens flares might be coming from some other sort of light source that it's reflecting off of. But again, if you look at the initial scene, there are no red light sources anywhere available, right? And again, we're just looking for patterns, right? We see this sort of streak go across. This is coming out of the light source here, and this is the easy way to explain away this effect, because any sort of intense light beam that's headed directly towards the camera is going to give off these sort of linear blue lens flares, and that's not your standard lens flare. This is for extra special fancy cameras. That's the only time you're going to see this sort of lens flare. So, right, that's an easy way to explain away what is going on, what this effect is. But I think it goes a lot deeper than that. Right, that's the blue line, and again, you can see, right, these can be written off to sort of reflection of some other light source. But again, this is a very high quality production. It would be very easy to edit anything like this out in post or change it around. And so that's a conscious choice. Often an aesthetic choice to leave those things in. So now we're getting into it, right? This is just a couple frames later, and we're going real slow, just trying to steady the frames. We don't need the audio. And just look at this red. Look at this red that appears here. Right, and again, the doorway shaped like a hexagon. We could talk about shapes forever, but we're focusing on the lights in this video. See, right? So you can see, and in this scene, I mean, you give a little background. She's sort of stressed out. This person here is actually, some sort of fungus invasion that's in her mind, and it's sort of arguing with her. And she's trying to keep it together and act natural in front of the rest of the crew, but has this imaginary friend that's been talking to her for quite some time, and she's trying to pull it off, right? So I would say you can chalk up these red lights to sort of triggering that stressed emotion that you're seeing here, and I don't know if this is having any sort of damaging effect by looking at it over and over again, but you can see how, right, it's not there, and it pulses in. And then on the next frame, right, it's not part of this frame. And we saw it when the other cut, right? Here it is on the left side of her, our left. And then cut back to that frame, it's gone. And then do you see how it pulses towards the front there? Just look at that. Certain frames of it are just, it's full. And it's sort of like, right? It's flashing your whole eyeballs with this pulse here. And it's very beautiful. It's and I think that's definitely got to be something about TV, this flickering beauty. But I think they've figured out a way to scientifically harness this, not just that it has a shocking effect, visually, but that it has a sort of deeper subconscious effect. And I'm really curious what you think of that, because am I crazy here? Am I just seeing something that's just some lens flare and some artistic effect, or is this some sort of crazy advanced technique that is, just being sort of, it's become weaponized and being used on us now, right? Trying to show this bar here, right? Here's a red solid line going back and forth, and normally, right, normally that's blue from some sort of lens flare, but here it's a deep red, and it's overlapping in these sort of other spheres, and I was just thinking how this research could be helpful for any sort of Planet X watchers, because you get a feel for lens flares, right? So, but look how that scans up and down that bar, and it has a sort of gentle movement. It's almost like a photocopier laser that scans up and down the image, but just does it in a very pleasing, sort of calm way. And I honestly think if you're not aware or not looking out for it, you're not going to consciously notice these things. But I hope you could see them here. Hopefully they're not just for me. You could see these, right? You see this circle? It's multiple circles. And again, right, all of it can be explained away with lens flare. All of it, I would say. But on the other hand, right, it's a very conscious sort of artistic choice, and I think it would be no problem to add an effect and increase any of these effects in post, to overpower their effectiveness, right? Here's a big flash because we're looking directly into this light source, and this is flashing the entire screen red. But maybe it is some sort of color correction that they affected on the original lens flare, to get at this red color, but just insanity, right? And if we just scrub a little forward, these are all over the scene, right? Here's another little sort of spirally rainbow thing. I think all of these have a much deeper effect than I think we're willing to admit. That's not just a random sort of blur line here up against, going across the image. Maybe it was caught from some light source, but I don't think that's the point. And the other point is that you could capture these things and composite them together like no problem. And, that's definitely what goes on in film all the time. A lot of compositing. So you can get the shot, you can get the lens flare from someplace else and place it in for the proper psychological effect, right? And as the scene builds, so do these red flashes. The red flashes build in intensity until she's basically thinks she's losing it and she needs to leave the room. And just while watching it, if you watch the scene, you definitely feel uncomfortable. You feel her uncomfortableness, and the sort of overwhelmingness of the situation. And definitely great acting, great music, great set design, great everything else. But right, I almost see these lights as sort of an added emotional trigger layer. That look at this one. This is so diffused. Definitely, I guess there's lens flares in here, but right, covering her whole head, covering the whole image, and I really don't want to play it. I'm just gonna scrub and see where we get with that. But you should definitely go back and watch this, and just to be on the lookout in any sort of TV, because it's not just this production. You'll see this in all over the place if you start to notice it. So I hope you see what I'm talking about, and this is the kind of stuff that I want to highlight. I want to get out there. And if they're not going to let me do it on live stream, then you start maybe videos like this. So hope you enjoyed it. Think about it. Red lines, red spaces. What is going on here? What is the purpose of this? Is it just art, or is it something more? All right, fake truth out.